Welcome back to another edition of Amateur Hour as I try in vain to pull apart bits and pieces of this Jaguar and put it back together again. So a bit of an update on where we are. I have made some progress, which is good. I've been really rubbish at filming because it's just a faff setting cameras up and all the rest of it. So I have done a few bits and pieces without filming, bits and pieces that I think are a bit dull, like painting and stuff like that. So let me just give you a quick walkthrough on where we are. I've sorted out the subframe. So yeah, you can see it's all painted up now. Sanded it all back, painted it all up. These are the new bushes. So they need pressing in. I've put one in by hand here. That's gone in quite nicely. Got to do the same with this one here. You have to align it correctly, so this divot bit thing, void, whatever it is, needs to align with the top there. So I'm just going to push those in by hand, and then I need a hydraulic press for the rest of it. What else? The brackets. These are the brackets that the subframe sits on. So they're all painted up, ready to go. So yeah, that's all good. Then I guess the big thing that I did yesterday was, let's see if we can get a bit of light in here. There we go. I did manage to get the shocks and the spring out. That was really hard work. So I guess the summary is caliper off. Caliper's just sitting on the jack at the moment. I've got it, also got it cable tied up to the jacking point there, just so it doesn't bugger up any of the hoses. The ABS sensor had to be unplugged. That, I don't know if you can see, that just unplugs in there, so that was pretty straightforward. Left the calipers on for now, but that gave me enough space in here to pull everything out. But what I'll do is I haven't done the other side yet, so I will film that. Oh, and I need to, I don't know if you can see the union joint there on the half shaft. So somewhere in here there are some Zerx grease nipples. I need to clean all that up, and I'm going to re-grease it. To be honest, it actually doesn't look that bad. I suspect apparently one of the main areas that gets left is greasing those union joints, and I suspect those might have been done, but anyway, we'll see. So I've got to get onto that as well. I have bought a new rear part of the exhaust, so this bit from here to the end, it's a back box delete, so it should open up the V8 a bit as well. I'm loath to do that right now. I might come back to it because I just want to get this up and running again so I can actually drive it. But yeah, so the shocks, they were a pain in the arse. Now there's various videos online about the best way to do this. To be honest, it's been made a lot easier because the subframe was removed. It's given me a lot more space to maneuver because the whole control arm is able to drop down, which releases the tension on the spring, which means that I can still get it, I can get it out. I still had to use a crowbar because it was bloody hard work, but you can see where the spring seat is up there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. One of the bolts actually came out. I had to use the impact wrench to get that out properly. It's actually, I mean, there is some rust there, so I'm going to treat that rust. But outside of that, it's surprisingly clean. Actually, there is definitely some rust, if you can see up here. So I'm going to get in there with a wire brush, and I'm going to get that all painted up with a buzz weld. Yeah, so sorry, the stuff that I've been using is this Buzzweld rust encapsulator. So that's like a primer, but you don't need to get all the rust off. You just paint over it and it just kills it dead in its tracks. Good stuff. This is quite thick and gloopy. And then the black stuff is this Jaguar Buzzweld again, it's their Jaguar body undersill. Again, quite thick stuff, really good. That should last and that will keep the water and everything else at bay. So yeah, so back to the strut tower. So the spring, the actual, the top hat for the strut tower sits in there, is bolted in there. And then the bottom of the spring sits in this seat here. So I've got to get all this cleaned up before I reinstall everything. And then there's just a, I don't know if you can see it down here. Probably not. Probably better on this side. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the bolt that goes through to hold the actual shock in place. All of these bolts actually came out okay. I mean, again, I would be lost without the impact wrench. I mean, it has just saved my life on a number of occasions. So yeah, the received wisdom is, if the A-frame hasn't been taken off, the thing to do is just undo the 4 rear bolts and just jemmy it down and then stick like a socket or a lump of wood or something, which forces the A-frame down and should give enough give, or give enough give? What am I talking about? So, you know, give enough space for the control arm to drop so you can actually get the spring assembly out. But again, because I've taken the whole A-frame off, it's made the whole thing a lot easier. But I'll show you, I'll film it on the other side and show you how it's been working. So that's it, that's pretty much what we're up to. I'll show you the old shock. So this is the old shock, rusty as hell. So I'm glad we got that off. This is the new one here. So you can see the difference. I mean, that is just 10 times better. And also the bushings, I mean, they are shot to pieces. We've got nice shiny new ones on there. This is the top hat. You can see this is just the assembly at the top of the, in that cavity that I was showing you just now. That's the top hat that's bolted in. And there's this bushing here, which has also had it. It's quite brittle and hard and nasty. So I've managed to find, got the part number for that, managed to find a couple of those online. They're not cheap. What did I pay? 45 quid, I think it was, for 2. They're actually advertised as XJ8, but they're the same part number, so obviously interchangeable between the two. I was thinking about replacing both of these both the top hats, and this is just some sort of washer and bit that goes underneath. But I reckon that'll clean up. I'll just go at that with a wire brush or the metal wire, the wire brush on my drill, and then go over it with the wire undersill. Oh God, actually no, I don't. That's the old one. I've got one on there, so that doesn't matter. I ended up cutting, if you can see, that bolt there with the reciprocating saw, because it wasn't going anywhere. And then the spring's in pretty good nick. Yes, there's surface rust on there, but that will clean up nicely. You can see where it sits at the bottom. Sorry, this is where it sits at the top. And then at the bottom, we've got this sort of rubber, well, you can see where I've ruined it with the crowbar trying to get it out. There's a rubber sort of seat there. I have ordered, I don't know if it's the right one or not, you know, a rubber seat to go in that. And then hopefully that does the job. So yeah, what we need to do now is the same with this spring here. So this is all covered up because this is where I was doing the painting. And this is going to be a bastard because of the fuel hoses and everything. This was the side where I had the problems with the top bolt for the A-frame. So I've actually left that in there. That bolt is completely welded into this spacer. I'm hoping I can just screw it back in and it should be okay. Time will tell. But yeah, the next job is to get this out as we do on the other side, and I'll film that. Need to support the control arm here. The mistake I made on the other side was I pulled all these bolts out and the control arm just dropped. I mean, it didn't do any damage, but or at least I hope it didn't. But I'm conscious that I don't want the weight of the whole hub assembly just falling down. So I'm just gonna I'm just going to put a jack underneath here to support it. Now, you have to watch out because we've got fuel lines here, so it just makes it really awkward. Get it right, you see it drop then. These are coming out, I don't know if it's the impact wrench, but these are coming out remarkably easily. I really thought they were going to fight me. I don't know, we've got some power on this impact wrench, but I expected it to be harder. Right, this one is an absolute pig to get to. Sorry, I kicked you out of the way there. That is hard work. So, I don't know if you can see that. So the whole stud came out. There's a stud that goes through the top hat, and there's some sort of captive nut at the top. This isn't focusing, is it? There we go. There's some sort of captive nut at the top. So whereas the other three just spun off the washer, this has spun the whole bolt out, which I don't think is a problem because it will just spin back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these into God, what's the rust stuff I've got? I can't remember now. I'll show you in a minute, but it's brilliant. You just tip a load of that into an ice cream tin, this one, and tin tub, whatever, and leave it for a day or two, and the rust just disappears completely. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. Okay, so that's come off the back, and washer. Okay, maybe there was a bit of weight on that spring after all. That clang was the spring pushing it down. I thought I'd obviously not taken up enough pressure on the jack, so that's something to watch out for, because as soon as the bolt cleared whatever was, well, the other side of the control arm, bosh, that came straight down. So you want to make sure your fingers aren't in there. Anyway, it's out. So I'm putting all these bits back on so I don't lose anything. Right, now I should let's get the caliper off. Lefty loosey. Oh Jesus! That's not been undone for a while. take the ABS sensor off. That's the cap that stops all the cack getting into the hex bolt for the caliper. Now, irritatingly, the brake hose is in the way of this. I think I can get to it, but it's not going to make my life easy at all. Oh, this is really difficult to get at. So if you can see, ABS and the brake line. I don't know if you can see this. There's the banjo for the brake line. Look, it's right up against. You see that? It's just in the way. Look, it's right up against it. Not a lot of thought went into that. Okay, that's the control arm all the way down now. Right, there we go. What a fucking arse. Right, here is the spring assembly that we've taken out. So the spring itself actually is in pretty good nick. Now, I did read on a forum that if at all possible you want to try and keep these springs, because some of the aftermarket ones or replacement ones can really affect the ride quality, that famous wafty Jaguar ride quality. So I do want to salvage this, and you know what, apart from a little bit of rust, it really is absolutely fine. So I'm going to clean that up in just a second. And then I'm going to spray it with some, I've got some more of the Jaguar, the Buzzweld underseal, which I can use on the springs as well. These shocks, or this shock, has absolutely had it. I mean, again, I think that's been on there for 150k miles. This top hat looks okay. It's solid. So again, that just needs a clean up and a bit of treatment. Now I need to get this this nut off here, off this bolt. If it's anything like the last one, it's going to prove difficult. I managed to get the mole grips onto this end bit. I'll try that again. I did manage to get it moving, but then it just, I ended up cutting it with the reciprocating saw because it just wasn't coming off. The bit that is really goosed is this, I think it's called a pigtail, or maybe that's the butt, you know, I don't know. I would guess that's probably a pigtail because it looks like a pigtail. But this, I think it's actually a spring seat bushing, is that what it is? I haven't got a clue. That is knackered. Look at the state of that. So I have ordered, as I think I mentioned previously, a couple of new ones of these off Evil Bay. They're on the way. This seat here, that's looking absolutely fine, so I'll just clean that up as well. And then we've got, I mean, the new shock has got most of the other bits that I need. There we go. So yeah, just need to get this all cleaned up and sorted, and get the subframe bushes sorted out as well, get them pressed in. Okay, I'm going to crack on with this. Right, I managed to break it loose. It was much easier than the other one. Well, easy is a relative term, but it did work. This is just a nut on there, a washer, and some sort of bush comes off, and the whole top hat. These bits. So that is a bit manky there, but that would all come off, I think, with a good bit of drill and a wire brush. I'll get that in seconds. And like I say, that has definitely seen better days, quite brittle and horrible. So, and apparently, I mean, again, if I read what I read correctly, these bits here can have an impact on the ride as well. These bits here, these donuts, top hats, pigtails, whatever the bloody hell they're called, bushings, no idea. But we're replacing those, so that's all good. Right, and then shop, as you can see, that is really knackered. I mean, to be fair, considering that has done what, 150k? I assume it's never, well, maybe it has been replaced, I don't know, but it's pretty manky. There we go. There's nothing left in that. Bloody... Yeah, okay, no, there is still got some motion in it. I mean, that's pretty impressive considering how old it is. It's still quite solid. Anyway, it's getting replaced, so that's that. Now let's start cleaning these bits up. Well, that's a lot better. Got most of the rust off, pretty much all the rust off. There's quite a lot in here, but that's actually come up quite nicely. And we'll seal all that, so prevents any further problems. It's going to be disappeared up in the chassis with the spring attached to it anyway. But yeah. Good job, it's come up nicely. I have now sorted out the springs and all of the bits of the shock assembly that I'm going to reuse. So as you saw, got most of the rust off, and I've now treated them with the Buzzweld, the wire body under seal stuff thingy that I put under the car as well. Good jollop it is. Hopefully that will keep worst of the rubbish off. So let me show you. So there we go. So these are the bits that are being reused. So this spacer, this is the top hat here, and the springs come up really well actually. And then the bits that I've had to buy are this pigtail, which as you see sits up there. The spring is upside down at the moment, so that will be inverted 180 degrees. The spring sits in that rubber pigtail. 30 bloody quid for one of those, absolutely ridiculous. Then I had to buy these new spring isolators as well, which sit in there. So yeah, ×2. That's all ready to go back together. Got to see if I can get that all back into position now. And then the other thing I've done is, well, this is just ongoing. I've treated there we go, that's just inside the wheel arch. So I've painted that all up now, again with the Buzzweld wire under seal. And you can also see, there you go, the control arm the union joint, half joint, whatever you want to call it, half shaft, sorry. So that's all looking a lot better as well. And that hopefully will weather an English winter without doing too much more damage. But yeah, I've still got to get inside the inner sills. That's on the list of things to do, and there is a little bubble there as well, which I haven't seen to, so that's probably going to look awful by the end of winter, but there we go. Yeah, so just need to get these shocks back on. And getting the shocks on will be next time's video. Otherwise, this is just going to go on for far too long. So once again, thanks very much for watching. I hope it's been useful. Do please give me a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. And yeah, subscribe if you like it as well. And there should be plenty more Jag stuff coming up. Thanks very much.